Welcome to Fort Larned National Historic Site. Fort Larned is a unit of the National Park System. It was created by Congress to establish a place where you could talk about and commemorate the role of the military on the Santa Fe Trail.
The Chief Ranger for the National Park Service at Fort Larned, George Elmore, has been telling the fort story for many years, educating the public about the role of the military on the trail.
The military activity on the trail, Mexican War is when it really increased a lot, because you have all the forts being established. You have goods that have to go up and down the trail to, take care of the troops in the field. And so that's when the Plains Indians really started fighting back in earnest. And by the time of 1859, when Fort Larned is established, they're pretty riled up by a lot of the activities that's going up and down. You also have the gold rushes out into Colorado. And so the Indians, just like we would if somebody was crossing our ground, all of a sudden we're starting to fight back in earnest against people just constantly going up and down on the trail.
Fort Larned was never attacked by Indians, but many of them did find themselves at the fort to collect on payments from the government called annuities, provided in accordance with treaties that were negotiated with the tribes.
There was a lot of cultural exchange at Fort Larned with the Plains Indians. They would come in, trade at the post-settler store. This was location of the Indian annuities under the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And so we had the Indian agents actually assigned here that would distribute annuities to the Plains tribes. We have some beautiful accounts of some of the various Indian leaders and the talks that they had here. One of them complained that you're cutting down all of our trees. You're scaring away all of our animals. We look at the fort today and we see a lot of trees. But back then, wood was used to cook, to heat the buildings and everything. Travelers on the trail cut down trees and consumed them for firewood. They were complaining about it. The Indians were complaining about you're scaring off our animals. You're chasing away the buffalo. You're chasing away all the deer, everything else that's out here. And the military really didn't care a whole lot about that because of the fact it makes people more dependent on the annuities if you destroy the grocery store.
In his role as a ranger here, George Elmore finds himself continually clearing up common misconceptions that people share with him.
Now, most people think that every caravan that went down the Santa Fe Trail got an armed escort. That's not true. In 1864, the military actually was ordered to hold up caravans here until they had about 40 armed men in a group, so they could go down as a group and have safety in the numbers of the group. That didn't really work too well because if you're an entrepreneur trying to get to Santa Fe with your goods to make the top dollar, you want to beat the other people there. So people didn't want to have to wait up and travel down in a group. So they would just go right on down if they could, not be held up. But the military really did not escort caravans up and down the trail. It's guarding the trail, yes, but it's more like a highway patrolman going out, looking for Indian locations, making sure everything's okay, but not really going with you. Now the mail coaches going up and down the trail, normally they had to guard those and usually have an armed escort of about 20 to 30 men with every mail coach going down the trail. Actually, the first death here was one of the stagecoach drivers delivering mail. He was killed, and then the military came out to kind of help guard the mail coaches, and then throughout most of Fort Larned's history, guarding the coaches was the primary role of the U.S. Army here.